As our city's presence grows on the international stage, I'm highly honored to be the honorary co-chair of Africa Atlanta 2014. This initiative has most definitely played a vital role in putting the African continent at the forefront of the city's international agenda in many ways. In this regard, I'm proud to announce that during this important year for Atlanta-Africa relations, I'll be traveling to Nigeria and South Africa later in the fall. I also had the pleasure of visiting with the President of Nigeria during my recent visit to Davos, Switzerland. I've also been invited to participate in the World Economic Forum Africa annual meeting, which will take place in Abuja in May of this year. With unparalleled connectivity to Africa through Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, a vibrant and engaged African diaspora, and many cultural and economic ties, I'm convinced that Atlanta is well positioned to become a significant partner to many of our African counterparts. It should also not go unnoticed that more than 6 of the fastest growing economies in the world over the next 10 and 15 years are all on the continent of Africa. It's my hope that these numerous and positive happenings will create long-lasting ties on both sides of the Atlantic. I want to thank Claire Angel for her leadership in this regard for our Office of International Affairs. Thank you, Claire. Starting on February 27th, Africa Atlanta 2014 will present an unparalleled opportunity for Atlanta residents, entrepreneurs, academicians, and artists to discover the incredible and diverse contributions the African continent has to offer, from business and technology to arts and culture. Along with Georgia Tech and the Consulate General of Belgium, a vast array of local organizations are partnering around this catalytic event, with partners such as the Carter Center, the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, the Rialto Center for the Arts, the High Museum, and so many more. Africa Atlanta 2014 has the means to achieve our goals of extending a warm and welcoming hand. Atlanta is truly a global city. Thanks to initiatives such as Africa Atlanta 2014, our city's international footprint keeps growing and building. I strongly encourage all Atlantans to come out and be a part of this enlightening and empowering series of events, and I welcome in advance everyone visiting from Africa on this important occasion. Thank you all for participating in this conference today, and I would like to invite our distinguished guest, Dean Jacqueline Royster, to say a few words. Welcome, Dean.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think I have to lower just a little bit. How privileged I feel to live in metropolitan Atlanta and to work in Midtown at the Georgia Institute of Technology. I find it totally invigorating that Atlanta is so historically relevant and at the same time so poised in our contemporary context for leadership and excellence, not only in terms of our nation's past, and symbolizing so iconically what it means in the United States to be Southern, but also to be here in this Southern city in 2014 when Atlanta once again is at the very epicenter of what it means to be a nexus for action in the face of the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century, both locally and globally. Quite literally, in 2014, Atlanta sits at a point of leverage in the transatlantic triangle of Africa, Europe, and the Americas. When you look at a map, you can see it boldly, clearly, a geographic relationship that does speak certainly to a pretty horrific socio-political past, but also speaks to a present and future in which we can reinvent ever-evolving historical relationships in more respectful, more dynamic, and more positive ways. I shouldn't really need to say this, but I want to anyway, just to echo what the mayor has just said. Atlanta is the home of the busiest airport in the world, in a state where we have a seaport capable of quite conveniently connecting 3 continents. It is the home of core governmental and non-governmental organizations who are coming together to address our most challenging and long-standing human issues. It is the place where all sorts of people from all sorts of places are coming together around scientific, economic, social, political, and cultural and cross-cultural issues and concerns. It is a center for innovation, innovative research and education, not only from the perspective of science, technology, engineering, and medicine, but also in full awareness of the roles that the arts, humanities, and social sciences must play if we are to be successful. Indeed, Atlanta is a place of amazing vibrancy, where despite ever-present problems, we are persistently inspired to do better today and tomorrow than we did yesterday. Symbolized by the phoenix, we've been called upon in part or in whole since the days when our city was a whistle-stop called Terminus, to be bold and adventurous, at the same time that we are rational and practical, creating among us the habit of being quite unafraid of challenge or change. This type of highly energized spirit of engagement is exactly what has made the idea of Africa Atlanta 2014 a true possibility. Typically, I describe the project as a serendipitous opportunity to bring to Atlanta some of the most remarkable African art in the world. And indeed, it is that. The Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts at Georgia Tech, the Royal Museum for Central Africa in Trevere in Belgium, the Harn Museum at the University of Florida, and the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum here in the heart of our city are collaborating to bring the remarkable exhibition, Congo Across the Waters, to Atlanta. Opening on May 16th, this exhibition will be a distinctive moment for celebration, knowledge building, and cross-community engagement, a moment that is not to be missed. Africa Atlanta 2014, however, is more. Those of us who have a well-textured view of Atlanta understand that serendipity in Atlanta is often not very serendipitous at all. It is the way that things happen here. Africa Atlanta 2014, quite simply, was a moment whose time had just come. We had a reputation of rising wealth and new occasions, and African art became a perfect new occasion to think again about who we have been, who we are now, and who and how we might be going forward. Modeled on France Atlanta, 50 partners from across the city and beyond have come together to carve out an idea. What would it mean to feel the soul of Africa in the heart of Atlanta? With a goal of collaboration and cooperation instead of isolation and competition, Africa Atlanta 2014 seeks to generate a new model. Quite deliberately, this initiative draws connections across the arts, humanities, science and technology, across education, business and innovation, across local and global concerns, past, present, future. In just under 18 months, we have organized, not by prescription, but quite organically, an array of spectacular events under a thematic umbrella, with arts and culture as a springboard by which to engage our untapped potential. In the beginning, the idea was to have a great arts exhibition with 2 or 3 weeks worth of cross-sector engagement. What we quickly found, however, is that there is so very much going on in so many places, in so many ways, that without blinking an eye, we now have in motion a full 15 months of events and activities with lots of energy and achievements to spare. Since October, we've had some amazing moments. Reflections on Africa, a conversation with Haskell Sears Ward and Leah Ward Sears. the Atlanta premiere of the documentary film Alice Walker, Beauty and Truth, the theatrical production of the South African play Mother to Mother at the Balser Theater, the Soweto Gospel Choir at the Rialto Center, and again, so much more. Right now, we have a full slate of wonderful exhibitions, including Romare Bearden, A Black Odyssey at Emory, James Pate's Kin Killing Kin at the Clark Atlanta University Galleries, African Mask or Masquerade at the High Museum, Health as a Human Right at the CDC, and again, much, much more. The truth of the matter is, though, that we're just getting started, believe me. This week, we're sharpening focus with Mapping Place, Africa Beyond Paper, an exhibition at the Georgia Tech campus at the Robert C. Williams Paper Museum. In this exhibition, we acknowledge Western traditions of mapping with some of the oldest and most beautiful paper maps of Africa in the world. But we also acknowledge that there are other ways of mapping, taking as our exemplar a Lukasa board from the Luba people in the Congo. These remarkable sculptures are memory boards that encode conceptual maps of Luba life and culture, and we pay tribute to them for having inspired us, and I should say in true Georgia Tech fashion, to use digital technologies to make our own conceptual and narrative connections beyond paper. After Mapping Place, there is even more to come. Pan-Africa Week at Kennesaw State, the Rodney Symposium at Clark Atlanta, the 5 and 5 literary series at Georgia State, an amazing series of events focused on historic and contemporary connections to Brazil, China, South Africa, South Korea, and Turkey. There are many more exhibitions around the area, poetry readings, symposia, conferences. I am literally breathless just thinking about all of the wonderful events ahead, and I haven't even gotten into May. We go to December. What this richness suggests is that you probably should consult our website. That's www.africaatlanta.org frequently, just so you have a convenient mechanism just to keep up. There's just one last thing that I'd like to note. What has emerged through the sequencing of our events is an arc. We started in October with visibility, awareness, and audience building. Now we're gaining momentum and building networks for dynamic action. In the fall, we'll focus on the work ahead in business, science and innovation, health, education and human rights, and yes, more arts, culture, and creativity as we develop and sustain long-standing and new networks, and as we think again about what it will mean going forward to know not only that we are in and of the world here in Atlanta, but also that so much of the world is now right here with us. So on behalf of all the partners of Africa Atlanta 2014, raise your hands. I couldn't mention everybody. On behalf of all of the partners of Africa Atlanta 2014, we joyfully say to you that over the course of this year, we celebrate the potential of our city as a nexus for action, and we invite all of you to join with us and to stay engaged as we forge new paths and new connections. Thank you.